Converting concepts to search terms. In moving from a general topic to a careful and diligent search for information, you want to identify and define the main concepts in your research question, so you can use those concepts as your initial search terms. You can also use language from your initial sources to help you define those concepts. Remember, a little bit of research after you've identified a topic is necessary in creating a strong research question, the question that you are going to try to answer through your research paper. In thinking about how I would approach a research assignment, I first came up with a broad research topic that I'm curious about: network protests and the use of social justice hashtags. And after testing and tweaking the topic, this is my initial research question: why is social media critical to the success of social justice movements? Now, in thinking about that question, I want to break it down into its main concepts. Here I've put them in italics, and then you can see I've pulled them out of the question and listed them below. So first, you want to identify the concepts in your research question, and then you want to define them. And you do this for a couple reasons. One, it's going to help you start to kind of structure your paper, even just structure your paper in your mind as you think about how you're going to explore these concepts in your writing. Also, this identification and definition process gives you the search terms or search phrases that you can use when you start searching for information sources. These concepts that you're defining help frame your research. These are the words that you can begin with when you start searching in databases, either on the web using Google or in a library database. Here is an example of how to do that. Beginning with my initial research question, I've identified some of the main concepts here, and then I've further broken down the concepts into the elements I might want to explore in my paper. So I've included different examples of social media, possible meanings for critical and success, and which specific social justice movements I'll write about. Then below, you can see some sample search phrases referencing these elements to use when starting to look for information about my research topic. For example, social media Hong Kong protests to see how social media was used in the protests, and Twitter Black Lives Matter to find information about the evolution of the hashtag. Looking for information regarding the Keep Families Together hashtag provides information on how social media impacted that cause. In this case, I also used a search term for my initial topic, hashtag, even though it didn't make it into my research question, because it's still relevant to my search. Remember, a strong research question has multiple concepts that can be explored in your research paper. It's helpful to identify and define these concepts at the start of your research to give you the language that will frame your initial search for information.